Hey guys, it's KD from Let's Talk Law Enforcement, and listen, you guys remember my original guest host, right? You remember her like way back, and then she dumped me for some stuff. And then, I haven't heard from her for a year, but then she came back and was like, hey, Katie, let's do a show together about this. And I was like, you know what? You welcome anytime. So, folks, check this out. Welcome back. It's the one and only my original co-host who dumped me for somebody else and, whatever. But I'm happy to have you back. What's up, girl? What's going on?
What's up, Katie? I'm glad to be back. Yeah, I had to reach out to you in reference to this DC takeover. So let's get into it.
Okay,
Hi,
so
everybody.
yeah, there you go. Because I was like, where'd she go? I'm like, man, she moved on to other stuff.
No, man, life, just
I get it. I'm
I
I'm glad that.
retired, had things going on. So, but this is important. So I'm let's talk.
So if you guys don't remember, Keith, how many years you have? Over like 20 something, 25, right?
26.
26, yeah, because we don't get that last year. Says over 26 years of law enforcement with, can I say your ex-employee? Retired since you retired or not? Well, anyway, we're gonna leave it at this. I forgot.
Retired detective.
Yeah, I forgot what she's doing. But force investigator, detective, she comes with a lot of knowledge, instructor at the police academy. So she comes with a lot of knowledge. So we're gonna jump into this thing. All right, here it is. President Trump ordered a federal takeover of the Metropolitan Police Department in DC. A lot of folks were against it. A lot of folks agreed and were happy. And there was a lot of misinformation put out there about, well, the crime is low, so they don't need that. And I'm going to speak from firsthand knowledge. Crime is not low in DC. What has been happening over the past several years, again, firsthand knowledge, you may have a crime that's reclassified. And you know what I'm talking about, right? You, firsthand knowledge, I respond to a burglary and I'm going to print the burglary and I'm doing, everything what we're supposed to do on the scene of that crime. A lieutenant comes who's in charge of the area where I'm at, the what we call PSA area, and he says, hey, KD. And he does this and he goes, why don't we make this burglary a theft? Can we make it a theft? I'm looking at him, right? I'm like, okay, and that's this your call, right? Because we had to notify detectives on the scene. And normally between us, the officers who write the report and the detectives, we would make that decision. We would all come to that, a consensus and say, hey, this is what this is. Then you had upper management started to respond to scenes and downgrade serious crimes. What we call was AWIC, assault with intent to kill. Somebody gets shot 20 times, and that's what we call that's a serious felony. That would get downgraded. That would get downgraded to a just contact shooting or some an assault, right? Like an assault. You're like, wait, but this person got shot 20 some times. So that happened a lot. We had a former captain got yanked up for that. He made the news. It's not him. He just became the fall guy for change for fudging the stats a little bit. It goes on in a lot of police departments across the city. I'm sorry, across the nation, right? So people look at it and say, "Oh, crime is down, murders are down." You firsthand know the murders in Baltimore, right? And I do too, to an extent. I wasn't there that long as you were, but we know murders in Baltimore it used to be 300 and something, easy. Now all of a sudden they down to a low or whatever. I'm not saying that's not happening, but like I
You're
know
having some
behind the
difficulties.
scenes,
It's breaking up a
there's
little bit.
some. Okay, I'll edit it out. But behind the scenes, there's some downgrading of those stats and those shootings. Contact shooting. He went to the hospital. No shooter. Blah blah blah. Or he died a year later, so we're gonna hang this. We're gonna hang this stat from last year. You know how the board works up in homicide, right? So
And
with that,
go ahead.
I'm all for the takeover because I think we needed that to help clean up. First of all, these juveniles that are out of control, the carjackings, the murders, and the shooting. I'm all for it, and a lot of DC police officers that I talk to are.
Okay, and
Now,
that's why I contacted you. I don't know if you were finished. We have a delay, a little bit of a delay. So I don't mean to cut you off, but that's why I
it's okay.
contacted you because the concern was, how are the police feeling about it? And here we almost have the same thing. So our crime here in Baltimore is the lowest it's been in, I'd say, before I even became an officer, but they say in 20, 30 years. So our mayor here is saying, our crime is down because Trump mentioned coming to other cities, rolling this
Right,
out in other places. Now,
right.
let me go back a little bit because this is only supposed to be for 7 days. And now, even this morning, I just read that he's trying to extend it, which I already knew was probably going to be in the game plan. So a lot of this is some conspiracy and, I wanted to know what the truth was in DC. I don't live in DC, so I reached out to you. And you're telling me that police are all for it. I can kind of see that because here we're also short and we're short staffed. Officers are getting drafted. They're burnt out. They're tired. So it would be nice to have that extra help on the street. The concern is that military and National Guard are not trained to deal with everyday encounters with, citizens, criminals, witnesses, things like that. And from what I'm hearing, they're only supposed to be doing, just keeping crowds down or making sure things don't get out of control. But I saw a video and I'd love to be able to show it where they approached a man sitting on his steps smoking a cigarette. A black man, of course. They approached this man and asked him for his ID to sit on his own steps smoking a cigarette. That's not their job. So
Was that
the
the National
concern
Guard?
is that they're going to be over police. Well, it's not their job to walk up on citizens that's sitting on their steps and
True,
asking for ID. Their job is
true.
supposed to be to maintain order, peace, keep crowds down, things like that. That they didn't get a call for service for that guy. So, understanding that you can't just violate people's rights is an issue. And that's the concern of many people. So I'm seeing that there's a mixed there's mixed emotion about this. Some of the citizens like, heck yeah, we're all for it. Crime is out of control. We're tired of being prisoners in our own home, can't go out and enjoy outside. I get it. And then there's the other ones that say, like this guy, I'm sitting on my steps smoking a cigarette and they're walking up on me asking me for ID, saying they smelled marijuana. So are we opening the door for a lot of people in the inner city, mostly Black people, to be harassed? So that is a major concern. And yes, I understand the blue side, but now that I'm a regular citizen, I'm retired. I understand from a citizen standpoint as well.
Okay. Well, I'll say this. I didn't see that video, but if National Guard is walking up on somebody, now again, they do have military police in the National Guard. Did they get deputized in DC? Probably so. They probably deputized them. But again, you're right. You shouldn't be walking up on people. You didn't get that call for service. So somebody needs to correct that, right? Quickly.
Where's the
And you're right.
training?
They should be there for just, crowds and stuff like that. It's almost like we went all the way to one end on the crime of letting it get out of control so much. Now, how do we balance that back to getting these streets back in order? Where I can go on a date and go to the wharf in DC. I'm cool because I got my gun, whatever. We good. But just the average citizen, right? My mom, just somebody wanted to go down there and have a good time, and they have to be concerned about getting robbed or, getting hit upside the head or carjacked or something when they all trying to have a good time. So I think a lot of citizens are fed up with that because, as you know, it's been happening here a lot, and there's almost no consequences at all for juveniles.
So that is a very good point, and I agree with you because I don't even like to go out as much as I used to here in Baltimore. No, I mean seriously, and I'm armed just like you are, but I just don't even feel like dealing with the possibility of a confrontation, and it's so can happen so easily here. We got the squeegee boys on every corner approaching cars, so you can't even just drive through Baltimore without having some kind of encounter. Or the chances are very high that you'll have some type of negative encounter. So I get it. And what would be nice is if those guards would just post it up. Have them in the hot spots just for omnipresence. They should not be approaching citizens, just walking up on people, asking for ID. just that type of stuff should be left to law enforcement, or if you get a call for service. Or if you get a call for service, they can serve as backup in some way, but they serve as backup only, So my question is, so let me finish that. So that's what I would love to see. I would love to see them down well, if they came here at the harbor, for instance, where we have a lot of robberies and things going on, Fells Point. So we have a lot of places where we could absolutely use their help. I was just concerned about the harassment issue. And then you mentioned juveniles. Now that's another sticky subject because we can't even handle the juveniles in certain ways. There's laws that keep preventing us from, actually prosecuting these kids and keeping them off the streets because they're repeat offenders. We know that. So what are they going to do to the juveniles?
Okay, I'm gonna say this. There used to be a time and place when police could kick your ass. And when I say that, I'm not saying brutality, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying. There was a time and place where you got dealt with if you fought the police. You got dealt with. God, you put a gun on the police.
Well, you mean pre body worn camera years?
Yes, 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 yes. I'm not an advocate for any type of police brutality, but there some people only respond to. I'm not gonna say violence, but I can't come to you and say, "Ma'am, sir, can you please get off this corner? I've asked you for 5 times, and then this is my 10-hour tour, and you keep coming back. F you. And you see the disrespect. That's why I post those videos because the average citizen doesn't see that. They only see what the media is going to show them and it's edited out. No, 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 no. I want to show you what's raw, and this is what we deal with. And again, are there circumstances where officers get out of control and they lose their emotions? Absolutely. And I post those too. We talk about that stuff too. But in today's very soft, I call it soy boy world, where everybody's offended by everything, it's funny what we pick and choose to be offended by, right? It's funny and I say it as Black Americans, what a small percentage, what we're offended by. And then we turn around and do some more negative stuff in our own neighborhoods, 10 times worse, right? But now we offended by Donald Trump because he said, I'm gonna put the feds up in here. Listen, again, 90% of all the police officers I've talked to are all for it. Because again, they're tired. They're tired getting help. You know this. 5 minutes before you get off, you're like, oh my God, I made it. I made it. And then you hear your shift is getting held over. Wait, why? Because the next shift is short. 6 days in a row, 18 hours a day.
Well,
Yeah,
burnout is real.
right.
Listen, I
What
understand.
do you expect? So I'm all for it.
I'm all for it too. I just had specific questions. And I think it was rolled out so quickly that a lot of logistics weren't worked out. Like, what does your roll call look like? Are they in your roll call? And I'm asking you specifically. So when you go to work, have they been in your roll call? Or
I'm
can you talk about that? I don't know if you can talk about that.
I'm just gonna say from somebody that would know that situation, they've been having out like a lot of outside roll calls, and then you meet certain members of the feds here or there or certain locations, or they meet you. Let me get it like this. It's almost like inauguration in DC, where that was the norm. All the feds work with everybody because you had to go and get cleared again to work the inaugurations and all that other stuff and get your Secret Service clearance. So you work with all those agencies that are in DC. The issue is most of those agencies in DC didn't police. They called you the police, right? You know that. They don't police. No offense to them. They police on a paper level, or they doing raids and
They're
stuff like
not boots on the ground.
that.
No.
Right. So there is that hey guys, like we got these body cameras on. Y'all don't have body cameras on, right?
Mhm.
So now don't give me no trick bag, right? Because my body camera's rolling and I can't sit there. The department's not gonna go, well, we're gonna excuse you even though they did it. The department's gonna say, did you act Did you intervene in anything that you thought was wrong? Because you know there's now that failure to act or failure to intervene. I'm sorry, failure to intervene if another officer or whoever's off the chain. So yeah,
Would
you're
that
right.
apply in this situation? Because and then you have Trump saying they're gonna be allowed to police the way they wanna police, and I'm like, "Whoa."
The feds will. Yeah, yeah, no problem. The feds will. So a BS complaint, right? For looking at you wrong, they entertain that in our departments. The officer looked at me wrong. He rolled his eyes. Okay, man, what's your name? We're gonna file that complaint. And turn on feds, take that complaint. Feds don't play. Feds like go before I lock you and him up, right? And I'm not calling that intimidation, but
Okay.
sometimes
So
that's
so so let me make sure I got this straight. So, I guess what it would be is you guys still have to follow departmental rules and regulations, orders, or whatever you call yours, policies, but what are the Fed's policies? Because you still have people that have you can't just violate rights. Is the president saying that it's okay for these federal officers or for these National Guard members to violate the citizens' rights? That's my question. And and not to I'm always going to give you that other side of it because now I'm on the other side of it. I'm a citizen and I've worked internal affairs, for 15 years and I dealt with violation of rights cases all the time. And that is an important issue to me. So I'm just wondering where the rules are, who's making the rules, who's holding them accountable. Those are the questions I have. Like, what are their specific orders? What are they supposed to do? Just go out and do what? That's what we don't know. And
listen.
and even in your own department, I'm asking like, what are you guys? Are they out there policing with you? Are they answering calls with you? Or are they just out there on their own?
Wouldn't know that. I've heard certain things, right? I just heard certain things because again, you
So you
know,
haven't worked with them personally, then? Okay. So, but that still doesn't answer my juvenile question. So, I mean, juveniles are always a different. It's just
kids.
it's frustrating.
It is because on one side I hear your side, and I respect your side, but on the other side, you're not. And I don't want to say a dumb citizen because somebody
There
don't
anymore.
call me dumb. You are a uneducated citizen. You been out there with us. Come on now, this but South. You know them districts. Huh? Come on. We out there
So
rolling
it
and
has to be
scrapping.
accountability because human beings, whether they wear a uniform, badge, or whatever, they're still human beings. And when they get frustrated or when citizens don't comply, what what does that look like? And if somebody gets hurt or if they do something to somebody, what is it? They said they're not supposed to make arrests. So if they detain somebody for
They
whatever
making arrests.
they think is a violation and they call you guys,
They making
what
arrests.
situation does that put you in legally as far as your liability?
They making arrests. And I'll say this, I think that was part of the again, from what I'm told from certain officers there, that was part of the hey, you're not gonna dump an arrest off on me. So you're gonna handle it. So to my knowledge, right, they have been given specific directions on arrest and how to process and where to process and things of that nature.
So
So
we allow
it's not
to
gonna be
determine.
on the rank and file patrol officer because you gotta remember, them call for service come first in every department. Call for service come first. You got to get them calls down. That's all the brand. That's all they right care about. How many calls are pending, right? So it's a heavy call volume in DC. Heavy, very heavy. In all the districts. So and you can't even get off. Might have changed, but you can't even get off or couldn't get relief until you got calls below a certain level. You couldn't leave more than 5 calls for the next shift, right? So I just say that the priority. Now, seeing the crime and working the streets as I have for all these years, I'm gonna side with I'm okay with it happening. Not any violation of anybody's rights, but I'm okay with it happening because of the simple fact I've seen too many victims of crime who are just like, standing there with the deer in the headlights after they've got robbed, shot, carjacked. They work for everything, hardworking, earn it, and then to have some knucklehead come and just take your car, crash it, take your ability to take your family out, rob you, knock you upside the head. I'm gonna, I know, not surprising, but I'm a side on the side of law enforcement and his decision, and just hope they don't get any serious violations out there. I just think, because our citizens live in such a bubble. Everything is, is tied into his deportation stuff, the checkpoint. No, it's not. They just regular checkpoint, traffic checkpoint. MPD been doing them for years. But to the average citizen who's, 25, 30 years old, all they know is what the media is telling him. So they're like, oh, it's a legal deportation checkpoint. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's for the guy
Oh.
riding around with no insurance that, gonna run into your car, and then you're gonna call and demand a report and then make a complaint when the police not there in 2 minutes to take a report. That's my issue.
And I totally get it, but you do have citizens in DC who also don't want this, and they've been protesting. So, this is it's kind of it's split DC in half, kind of. Those who want this and those who don't. I'm interested to see how this 7 days is going to go. And and then you also have the issue with the homeless people. He's cleaning them off, getting them off the streets. Where are they going to go?
They
I
put them
just
in a safe
saw
safe
a I just saw a report from a homeless shelter that said that, they're overwhelmed. They're already overwhelmed with the regular amount of homeless people that come in I'm sorry, the unhoused people that come in to get meals and things like that and shelter. But now that these people are being pushed, they're being forcibly, removed from the streets, where they're going. So I'm not against them. Listen, I'm not against the extra help for the police officers because my God, you need it. I'm not against removing the unhoused people and finding somewhere for them to go because we have that same situation here. It's not only an eyesore, but it's sad that these are a lot of times these are veterans and a lot of people who have mental health issues, and there is help out there. A lot of them don't want help, so I do get it. But there has to be. This was done so. I guess my complaint is it was done so quickly. There was a way to do things. And I know people say the same thing about the way he did the mass deportations and immigration situation, but people have been here for years. They've had plenty of time to get their stuff straight. So that I don't have a problem with so much. I mean, yeah, it still could have been done a little more humanely. I do believe because things are getting kind of crazy. But bringing this back to local situation right here, where are our homeless going to go? So, there's no money, there's no extra money being put out to shelters. There's no extra shelters being built, but yet there are detainment camps being built. So I guess I'm looking at this from both sides. And, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Trump hater. I am literally in the
legal
middle. I
difference.
like some stuff and I don't like
Right.
others.
Fair enough.
I'm that person.
Because at least you admit that. And that's where I have not a problem, but that grinds my gears because it's all the way to this side or all the way to this side.
Yeah.
It's just like, as a black police officer, you're 100%. If you do not let me go because I'm drunk, I got gun in the car, I know my license suspended. If you don't let me go, now you're Uncle Tom or you're a coon. If you let me go, you're a cool ass officer. I wish more officers was like this. And I think that in a nutshell is the problem that we have, especially, black officer. That is the problem. That is what we're dealing with. Just a separate
Now,
issue.
I'm gonna give the flip side because I deal with the same thing. I'm black and blue. So I feel like if you are fair in my career, this is what I dealt with. If you are fair with people, then nobody's gonna say, you know what, you're Uncle Tom. I've locked up I don't know how many, countless, hundreds of people. And not once have I been called Uncle Tom. Not once have I said, no, has everybody accused me of being, was it a coon or anything like that. It's been, can you even say that on social media? Anyway, It was always, "I don't like police, but you didn't disrespect me. You cool."
Right. Right.
If you broke the law, you broke the law. Fair is fair. Cops and robbers, it is what it is. It's age old thing. You do something wrong, it's my job to arrest you and uphold the law. But there's a way to do it. And you don't sit there and let other people, I think when you get that is when black people are mistreated in the presence of white officers and black officers stand by and don't do anything. That I see as an issue. And I know we're kind of getting off topic a little bit, but
No, this is
that's never
not.
been a concern. If you do your job properly, even as a black officer, that person who even says that to you, then you come back with that. Man, listen, you broke the law. I did my job the right way. I didn't disrespect you. I didn't violate your rights. I didn't abuse you. Let's go from there. And if you let that person go, then you're breaking the law. I mean,
And
you
say,
know,
say that part
do your
again.
job.
Say
Be
that part.
professional.
If you do what? Say that part again.
Why would you let that person go?
Right. Because you're breaking the law. And guess who can get charged with that?
You.
Exactly. You know that. That's what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
know that. You know that. Because that complaint will come. Say that complaint came to you. You still have a duty to investigate, even though you and your mom are like, he gave him a break. And the other side of your mind, your professional was gonna be like, man, what was you thinking? You can get fired for that. You know that. That's what I'm saying. That's that man. It's just it's a never ending battle. And I always say it's never ending battle, especially with police, not just police, but just especially minority police.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like we champion crime and we champion a culture of let's be as wild as we can be. Let's take it to the limit. And then when we take it to the limit, kind of use the race card. And again, I know it ain't all our people. It's a small percentage. But you know what I'm saying? That small percentage gets put on the platform, the national platform, all day, all night. That's why people talking about the carnival cruises, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's like that's why people the girl driving the Ultima is always the girl with the loud mouth with the suspended license, with the bonnet on. And people get mad at that, but when you think about it, you're like, yeah, 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 pretty much, right? With the nasty attitude. So for me to circle back around, I just think I'm okay with what he did. And a lot, like I say, the vast majority of the officers said the same thing. Even one who's she's a female officer, and and she had no problem telling me because she's proud of. She's a gay officer, a lesbian officer, and she's like, listen, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff he does or did, but I agree with this because she's a newer officer, and from day one when she got in there, her eyes, they say, wide open, and everything she thought she knew about policing,
Oh, yeah.
she didn't. Now that girl, she works in the worst district in DC. And I'm not gonna say the name, but everybody probably gonna know. And then the same district I came up. And then she's like, "Oh my God, I didn't know it was like this." This is a young black female. Okay.
My 20 my son is 22 now. He just joined a year ago, and he is already ready to leave and go to the fire department. It's not what he thought it was. He watched his mom and his dad, in law enforcement all his life, and he joined and he got out there and realized, I don't like this. I don't like how it makes me feel. I don't like how I'm looked at. People hate police. And, he has a good heart and he'd be a great officer, but not, and maybe not in this time period. So I get it. Policing has changed a lot, especially for us. And I guess my concern is just making sure that, that our people aren't being targeted because that's what it sounds like. A lot of stuff that Trump has said, and I try to sift through a lot of the rhetoric.
You really think that?
And I think everything is racist. I do. I don't take everything he says as a racial attack on us, but there are underlying things. And I can't ignore those things. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I pay attention. And now the thought is why the military? Is it just for, public safety? Or is there another nefarious reason afoot? So those are the questions that a lot of people have right now. And I definitely reached out to you on the law enforcement aspect. I'm like, yo, what are y'all doing? Are you guys Are they handling calls with you? I mean, are they backing you up with the guns? I'm like, what's going on? So, I mean, you pretty much said you don't really deal with them. So I got no excitement there, but you know,
Because I think what people are looking for is that first shooting or something that goes bad, right?
but yeah,
We hope not, but they're looking for that first, "Oh my god," you know, the Fed got him because he but I keep telling everybody, DC is like, 70, 60% Black now. So, unfortunately, you're gonna just like Baltimore, you're
yeah,
going to deal with Black suspects way more than you're gonna deal with white suspects. Now, Baltimore is different, a little different because, whatever district or whatever, but DC is pretty much, it's not Chocolate City anymore, but
right,
you're dealing with Black folk in crime-ridden areas. And that's not going to change until somebody changes the whole landscape. And again, I think that's part of the problem. Democrats versus Republican. Who's going to fix the streets? And we rely on politicians way too much, in my
yeah.
opinion, because we won't fix ourselves. But at what point do you go, I can change my own circumstances without relying on the government? And I think we
And that's
all,
another whole conversation because that man, that yeah, that yeah,
we
that's
hooked
another. I,
on
I
that
want
part.
to do for self. Listen, I'm all for us taking care of us and the community taking care of the community and doing for self and not relying on the government. I'm that person. I'm not a Republican, but that is my thought process. Use it for when you need it, and get off. That's
Okay.
what it's supposed to be there for, and that's it. Like I said, I would love to see them be omnipresent and just be there to I guess to deter people from committing crime and then if this is not long term, so these are my questions that I guess will come up later on, and we could probably do another
We
episode.
can
We
do
almost
another episode. Yeah.
um, what happens when they leave? Is crime are the criminals gonna say, "Okay, yeah, we're free again
Yeah.
to go out and run amok," or does that become the new norm that they just simmer down? But what does Trump want? Does he want a completely crimeless DC? Because that is unreasonable. What are his expectations for this military insurgents? I mean, it's so many unanswered questions, Kenny, that I like it, but I don't like it. I like it, but I'm concerned about it.
Why don't you come on
You know,
down DC and ride around if you get a chance and see if anything changed?
you want me to do a ride along with you?
No, just come on. I'm just saying, come on down to DC. I got some friends that would love to have you ride along with them.
I did a ride along with you once years ago, if you remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
God, that was a long
But it's
time ago. But
changed. It's changed.
really, I'm listen. I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
come on with your video camera and go, well, here is what the troops are doing. Here is this crime ridden area, blah, blah, blah. Tell you, that would be wild for a follow-up
And
episode.
you know what? That might be a good thing. I can actually come out and get my own footage and
Hmm.
show what's going on since Kenny can't tell me anything.
I mean, you can ride with me, man. You can be my guest. How about that? Let's work
I,
it out.
I, I might do that. I
Okay.
might do that. You
All
know?
right, let's think about that, man. And listen, as always, I have a ball when you come on the show. I'm glad to have you back. We missed you.
Thank you.
We're gonna try to get you, keep you, because you again bring balance. I have great co-hosts, Megan McCarthy, y'all co-host, but you have that internal knowledge of what we all been through, me and you on this side of the United States. So I love that. And I'm be honest, you keep the balance bugs in my head going because sometimes, I go off on this side because I'll be like,
So
no, but that is the street part in me, and you bring it back with no, Kenny, listen to this or whatever. So I appreciate that.
I'm
All right.
here for I bring both sides of the perspective. I understand police side, I understand citizen side now. Um, listen, I'm glad to be back, and I just want to tell you, Kenny, I've been watching you. You've been doing a great job. You've done a lot with the show, and I see your posts, and I see what you're doing, and I appreciate it. I'm proud of you, and I would like to continue being a part of this with you. Guest appearing sometimes here and there, talking about the important topics in law enforcement. I'm all for it.
All right. So, with that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in. Got to give a quick shout out to my sponsor. I got sponsors, man. I'm telling you, Porter Finest, TSRT Apparel, Frontline Optics. Guys, thank you. I appreciate your support for the show, the podcast, and the Instagram page. Thanks again, guys. Have a good day. And Keith, stay in touch because we're going to do this again real soon. Have a good night.
Ciao.